A big hello to you. I hope I find you well. I'm Jennifer Kirk, welcoming you up here to the loft on Weir Yard. And today we've got an exclusive look through all of the EPs and working samples, decorated samples, that kind of thing, that KR Models had in the country for the Whalley show. Now, I'm recording this before Whalley, so by the time this video goes out, you may have already seen these in the cabinets at Whalley, but we've actually had some of them running. We've had a look through some of the sound suites. And really, it is great to get a good close look at these models in a way that you can't really do at the shows. So a big thank you to KR Models for loaning the channel all of these pre-production prototypes, decorated samples. And we're going to be taking a good look through them. And these include some of the really eagerly awaited models that haven't really broken cover before now. So we've got a full 4-car set of the Bulliard 4DD, the really unique double-decked passenger train, and I'm going to be showing you that really up close and personal. We've also got the decorated samples of the PAL brick wagons. Now there's two different types here. We've got the as-built versions, and these are the type that you'll see the William Loudon Sons Special Monday Club Commission. We've got a link down below for you to order that. And there's also the rebuilt versions, which is after BR lost the brick traffic to the roads, the wagons were still fairly new, so a lot of them got converted to other uses. And this other triple pack represents the wagon in later life after they've been converted for, amongst other things, being used as runner wagons and also barrier wagons. And it's a really interesting pack. But not resting on their laurels, we've got the fully decorated and sound-fitted Shay. We've got the logging car to go with that, again another decorated sample. We've got the torpedo wagons that you saw in a sneaky little video before Whalley, and then we've got the Hunslet Bobo in the British steel or Chorus steel livery to go with that, and that has the full sound suite in there and really is something special. Now for me, the highlight of these is Bellerophon, which has a very unique Gooch valve gear, and this is something that was announced quite some time ago, and it seemed like projects kind of leapfrogged it. And the reason for this is because KR Models have been working really hard behind the scenes to get that Gooch valve gear to work, and this will be a first for a UK outline model. But I'm really pleased to say that we put it on the rolling road and also on Weir Yard, and well, you'll have to watch the video and you'll see just what happened. But come with me in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCC decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabrique.co.uk. Additional support comes from Rails of Sheffield. Sell to the name you know and trust. Buy, sell or exchange any age or any gauge. Call them now for the very best price. Check them out today at the link below. So come with me, I'm really excited to show you these models. The Whalley show is an opportunity to see all of the offerings from the various different manufacturers, and I'm very grateful to KR Models for loaning me all of the models that they're going to be having on display on their stand. And you might remember the PAL brick wagons, we did feature the pre-production EPs here on the channel, and I'm really pleased to see the livery samples that have come through. Now there's two different versions, as you can see. These ones are as built, so these were built for brick traffic, and the idea was that they could be loaded via forklifts and the pallets of bricks would go in, and then this would be screwed in just to secure those pallets from any kind of movement. Unfortunately, it was a traffic that was very quickly lost to road transportation, so BR found itself with around 1,500 of these relatively new wagons and no real traffic for them. But they were too new to just scrap en masse, and that's where these versions come in. Now, they lasted actually longer in this form than they did in the original versions. They were converted into a variety of different engineers' usage, including translator wagons for couplings, and you can see here the RGQ wagon here. It's been stripped of most of the bodywork. We've still got the framework of the ends, but the whole purpose of this would have been as a translator for moving things like EMUs between depots. You would have had one of these at either end, and it would have allowed a locomotive to haul them to and from works, and would allow connections for couplings and also for the braking. And it's in this form that a number do survive. In fact, when I was at Oswestry on the Cambrian Railways, they actually had one in this very livery, and I would have to try and find my photographs. I don't think that I'm going to be able to lay my hands on them anytime soon, but I think that this is a model of the exact wagon that is at Oswestry. Now, there's also one at Nantmore Quarry, which is not actually that far away on the Gaboan branch, but certainly as survivors go, there's a lot more in this kind of form out there on the network, and certainly these would have been seen out and about and also parked up at depots right through probably into at least the 1990s, if not longer. And because of this extended use, a number of these have been able to pass into preservation. Now, the one that's going to be in the hall is being restored into as original form. And as far as I know, I could be wrong on this, but I think it's the only one that's currently in a process of being put back to its as original form, and that will no doubt become part of the demonstration freight trains on the Great Central Railway. Now, these ran both in block trains and in single figures, a few of them maybe in a cut in a freight train, but certainly these are wagons that could be seen all over the network, and actually quite a distinctive wagon, but at the same time one that has never, as far as I know, been offered ready to run by any manufacturer. And certainly these two different versions provide the entire story of these interesting short wheelbase wagons with their clasp brakes and all manner of other fittings in there underneath. They're certainly incredibly highly detailed. And don't forget as well that the William Loudon Sons Palbrick wagon is still available to order, and we've got a link in the description down below, and it's based on this version of the Palbrick wagon. I'm told that these are expected in around January of 2023. The samples that were supplied were the 3-pack in original condition, each with different running numbers and variations in the printing. Additionally, another 3-pack was supplied, and this is the Palbrick in its later converted guise when they went into the engineers' fleet for use as principally translator wagons for moving items such as EMUs between depots. They were also used as barrier wagons, and a number of other conversions took place throughout their lives, enabling BR to still get some good use out of what were nearly new wagons when the freight that they were built for was lost primarily to road transport. The next model that I want to show you is an EP of Bellerophon, and this is one of the Haydock Foundry locomotives, and in fact it's the one that does survive. Now, the bits on here are a little bit loose, and this is because it has been damaged, unfortunately, in the post. It is very, very well travelled, and we can demonstrate to you her working with a very, very interesting Gooch valve gear, and that is fully functional, I am told, on there, and certainly this will be a first for a UK outline ready to run model. As you can see on this EP, there's a lot of metal work giving a lot of weight to this model, and the buffers themselves are not sprung, but to be honest, not really necessary. She's got a very distinctive shape. Certainly this is a very much a 19th century locomotive with this very interesting kind of Spartan cab. It's almost like it's been added as an afterthought. It's like, what, you're getting wet? Oh, well, okay, here's a piece of bent metal, just, you know, just stop whining. But certainly this is a really interesting locomotive, and we're going to see if we can get her running. This is definitely one which has been quite eagerly awaited by a number of different modelers. So it's really nice to be able to see the model in its developing form. Certainly getting the Gooch valve gear to work properly has been really a tough proposition for KR models, and it's one of the reasons that this model does appear to have been leapfrogged by other projects. It's not that they're not working on it, it's just that it's taking a lot to make sure that it works properly. Bear in mind that the CV settings on the decoder that it comes fitted with are not fully set up properly, so there is a degree of jerkiness, but this is down to the decoder rather than the actual model. I've had this running on the DCC Concepts rolling road for quite some time, and it just seems to get smoother and smoother as it beds in. The EP has been given a little bit of rough treatment in the post on its way from the factory in China, and that accounts for the loose handrails, but this does show the elements of metal and cast parts that are within the construction of this model that go together to make it really quite weighty, and it was able to pull a number of wagons through the rather steep 5% grade here on Weir Yard. The Gooch valve gear is quite mesmerising to watch, with that system of cams on the rear axle that set the timing. The valve gear is very, very slender, and certainly this is an exquisite piece of craftsmanship, and KR models are at pains to point out that this is not a cheap model. There is a lot of care and attention gone into this, and the craftsmanship that is required to make that valve gear work and work reliably means that this justifies the high price tag of this model. It will be available in sound fitted and DCC ready versions with a number of different livery options available. The next models that I want to show you, well, we've already seen the video of the torpedo wagon for the molten iron, and this is fully functional. That video is already out, and it's just because this came a little bit earlier than all of these other models, so I was able to film that and get the video out before Worley. But this wagon is supposed to be going with these locomotives. Now, we've already shown the EP sample of this, but we now have the full working livery sample, and I'm told that this has sound as well. Now, again, it's had a little bit of a rough treatment in the post because they don't actually come in proper boxes. They actually come wrapped in bubble wrap, and the window's been pushed in. It is in there, but it's simply that, just like Bellerophon, she's suffered some damage in the post. But certainly this is really a standout locomotive. I love the sharp, crisp wasp stripes on the end, the yellow front buffer beams. We don't have sprung buffers on this. I don't know if the production model will or not. This particular locomotive ran really well when we tested it, but this livery really does stand out. And for me, it is definitely very much a highlight of the range, and certainly this is a locomotive which I think is going to find pride of place in a great many collections. All of the detail that we saw on the EP is here, but it really does come alive when we see it with all of the decoration, and this particular one is number 73 from the British Steel Fleet. I've moved the Hunslet diesel onto the DCC Concepts rolling road, and if I sound a little bit distant, it's because I've put the microphone right next to it, ready to sample this sound suite that this has been fitted with. The model will be available in both DCC ready and DCC sound fitted versions, And it also includes on the sound fitted versions the ready setup for the flashing lights on the side, which is a lighting function which I've not seen taken advantage of before on a UK outline model. There is a little bit of transmission whine on this, and it has to be pointed out that this is still a pre-production finished model, which means that it's been put through an awful lot of paces of testing, and not to mention an awful lot of transport between China, Canada and the UK repeatedly. So just bear that in mind if you hear any of the transmission whine over the sound suite available. The model also features an active braking function, and this can be accessed when it's running by pressing F5. And this increases the braking of the locomotive whilst also playing the spot sound of the air brakes. This also changes, and when the locomotive is stationary, it is the sound of the air brakes hissing off. So there's two different sounds there, and certainly it makes driving this locomotive a very involved but pleasurable experience. For the next two models, we're going to KR Models as a North American prototypes. Now, KR Models are based in Canada, and that means that they've always got an eye on the North American market. And I guess UK outline modelers may not really have quite realised it, but what we've got here is the Shay and the logging wagon, which really will open up a lot of possibilities for US outline logging railways, and certainly there were a lot of them. They were some quite Spartan creations and quite steep with switchbacks, and certainly it's something that at Worley you may well have seen the DCC concept stand with the switchback logging railroad which is on there, and certainly these would look really nice on there. This is a fully decorated sample. You can see all of the rigging underneath for the brakes, and that really does have a lot of separately fitted parts. The spine of the wagon does actually include a lot of weight in there, and I do like these metal strap details here, and the logs would sit between these with some metal pins just to hold them in place, and then probably chained around. And these are certainly going to be a great addition to that North American range. And of course, where would these be without something for them to be pulled by? And that's where the Shay comes in. And this really is streets ahead of any other Shay locomotives that may have been on the market over the years. This is one where the actual locomotive here, which is on the side of very, very unusual design, this actually is what is driven by the motor, and the bogies are driven by these shafts at the side, just like the prototype. Now these really are quite interesting. You see at the end there, they've got a very peculiar shape because of the engine on one side. The boiler is offset, and then we've got this really quite substantial frames. These were designed for steep gradients and tight curves, poorly laid track. These really were in their element in the North American logging lines, and these are going to be offered in a number of different liveries, but we've got Western Forest Industries Limited number 5 here in this quite nice satin black, but that detail on that fully functional drive there is really quite sublime. And for me, this is one of the standout models of the KR Models range. Now we've got working lights front and back as well, and this features a sound decoder with a sound file that's been specially created for KR Models by Soundtracks. So really glad that Soundtracks and KR models were able to hook up with each other, and I'm going to claim a little bit of credit for that, because I put George Bogatar and Keith Revel in touch with each other, and I'm really pleased to see that something has come from that collaboration. So again, this is one which is just magic to watch going around the layout, and certainly one which I would love to get one of for Weir Yard. Well, not really for Weir Yard, but I do fancy building a North American HO logging layout, and there's plenty of interesting opportunities with that, and I might just try and make some kind of switch back, I think. The Shay model is a finished decorated sample, and it does feature a Soundtracks sound decoder with a custom sound suite specifically for this Shay. Unfortunately, due to a technical difficulty, I was unable to get this model running on Weir Yard. Whilst this model is principally aimed at the North American market, along with the lumber wagon, whose sample is also seen here in this video, it is also available to order here in the UK through stockists of KR Models products. The final set of models that I've got here are the 4DD double-decked trains. Now, these were really interesting attempts to increase capacity without having to increase the length of the trains, and in turn needing to change signalling for block sections, and most importantly, I guess, extending platforms. And they were an innovative design that Bulliard on the Southern came up with. Not massively successful. The problems included much longer dwell times at stations, because you had a lot of people trying to get off through a set number of doors. So effectively, around 50% more people from the same number of doors as you would get with conventional slam door stock. And so that meant you had longer dwell times in the stations, and that kind of offset any of the benefits. They were also having issues with ventilation. They got very, very hot in the summer, and this was because they made the absolute maximum use of the loading gauge, hence the shape and the curve of the top windows. And certainly it was something that people weren't really too keen on riding around here, sitting down underneath people's feet. And there are two surviving cars from the 4DD sets, although in very, very poor condition. But it's something that has never actually been taken on as a contender for a ready-to-run model. But this has attracted probably more criticism of any model than anything else. And this, I can happily show you, is the EP, and I want you to pay really close attention to the curve of the top windows. Now these, they are loose on the frames. I'm just going to take that out, and we've got a light bar in the top there, and you can see we've got an interior moulded in there, and this really does show the shape of the seats. You've got the upper areas, and they actually sat sort of over the top of the people in the lower areas. Really quite an interesting tessellation of people in these. Now the full train features connectors for power going all the way through, and by the looks of this we've also got current collection from each of the coaches as well. Now this does have DCC decoders in, but I don't know whether it actually does work. Again, some of these have led a hard life going to and from the factory, the offices in Canada, and now here in the UK. So let's just find one of the driving cars. So these are formed as a 4-coach set. So you get 2 driving trailer cars and 2 of the inner cars. And these have got really interesting shape. Front windows there, again, this is another area that has been changed for this EP. So I know that there was a lot of people who were getting really quite twitchy over these. And, well, I can now allay your fears, because you can see there the curve is pretty much as the photographs show of the real units. There's a lot of work been going on behind the scenes for these, and I'm really grateful to have been given an opportunity to take a look at these. I think for me, these in tired rail blue will be an absolute must on Weir Yard. I've got a soft spot for third rail electric vehicles, and certainly these do look good. We've got motor drive to a bogie at one end, and it appears that we've got current collection from every bogie in the train. Now, looking inside these, there's a 21-pin decoder socket underneath here. Now, I don't know at this moment whether the train as a whole will take two, or whether actually that's just because these are an EP. There is actually another decoder in the other driving car. I suspect that it may be set up to work off just one when the production model comes through. The motor itself is just hidden in down here, and you can see the bulk of the motor just between those seats, and that drives through a cardan shaft and a gear tower down into this front set of bogies. And that's not unlike the Bachmann Class 411, which has something similar at one end. So I will hopefully find out over the Worley show whether the entire train will have two motors, two decoder sockets, or two motors, one decoder socket, or one motor, one decoder socket. But certainly really looking forward to seeing the development of this model. At the moment, these tops are just resting on top. They don't quite clip down, as far as I can tell. They're just these are just EPs, so there is still time for any changes. We haven't got any glazing in these just yet. But as a full four-coach train, this is going to be something really impressive. You can see the layout of windows on the side are totally unlike anything else that you would have seen either before or after in the UK. And these are going to be a very eye-catching set when it does finally reach the market. Now, all of these have been on display at Worley by the time you see this video, but this hopefully gives you a little bit more of an up-close look at these, and certainly for anybody who wasn't able to go to Worley, then this gives a golden opportunity to take a closer look. Well, I hope you really enjoyed today's video, and a big thank you to KR Models for loaning all of these to the channel. Now, do bear in mind that some of these are initial test shots from the molds, EPs, hand-assembled samples, and pre-production decorated samples. So just bear that in mind. It was also really great to see the Palbrick wagons, because don't forget that the William Loudon Sons version that's being produced as an exclusive Monday Club wagon, available at the link down below, is one of these, and really great to see the model coming on in leaps and bounds and nearing the point where it is going into production. I'd really love to hear from you in the comments section down below what you thought of all of these models. For me, the standout ones were those Palbricks. I really do like those later conversions with all of that chassis and end detail. And Bellerophon too. Now, Bellerophon was a model that, whilst I knew that it had been announced, I'd seen the CADs of it, it had kind of gone unnoticed under the radar for me until I saw this working hand-assembled sample. It really is mesmerising to watch, and there is an incredible amount of detail on these, so it is definitely for me the sleeper hit of this bunch. Also, as well, I think the 4DD is going to prove of great interest to a lot of people, because there's been a lot of uninformed speculation going on about what KR Models are doing with this, and actually now today you've seen the actual test shots from the mould of these, and hopefully that'll lay to bed some of the speculation that's been going on online. But a big thank you again to KR Models for loaning these to the channel. Don't forget to like And also share too, it's really important. Share the love and also let people know that they can come and take a good close look at some of these EPs and hand assembled samples and really get to grips with what is forthcoming from KR Models. And if you haven't already done so, do please consider subscribing to the channel. We've also got all the merch available through the merch store down below with the t-shirts, the hoodies, the mugs, all manner of great things that you can purchase, and you can also check us out over on Patreon. But until next time, this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying you take great care of yourself. Happy modelling. Bye for now. Today's video is sponsored by Trainomatic, makers of DCC decoders designed to be fully compatible with every manufacturer's locomotive. Visit train-o-matic.com to browse the full range and see what they've got suitable for you. Additional support comes from Rails of Sheffield. Sell to the name you know and trust. Family-run business purchasing collections for over 50 years. From single items to lifetime collections, no collection is too small or too big. Buy, sell or exchange, any age or any gauge. Rails will take everything: locos, coaches, wagons, track work, controllers, accessories. In fact, they'll take absolutely everything and certainly will not cherry pick the best items. Rails are only a phone call away. Call them now for the very best price and get instant cash payment or same-day transfer. Check them out today at the link below. I'd like to send out a huge thanks to everybody who supports me on Patreon, and an extra special huge thanks goes out to Anthony Kidson, Offshore Allen, Michael Lockie, Helen Sink, Gary Lewis, David Quinn, Sparky 107107, George Botterini, Chris Moss, Robert Steers, Sam Yates, Dale Williams, John N from NC, NYMR-ish, Jonathan Foster, Peter, Clifford Ison, Larry W. Grant, NI Railways 4000 class, Ian Coulson, Alan Dickerson, Eddie Popper, Karen Nichol, Medwin Williams, Crossways Point Junction, 3B Rail, Jennifer Horton, and James Beckett. Thank you. Without you guys, I couldn't do this.